Well, hello, fellow strategists. Hope the world is going well with you. Hope it's not too cold, not too much snow. Most importantly, I hope you're starting to enjoy this course. So I thought I'd actually give you some analogies today, some case studies. And not only that, really start to get into your brains and your thought process. Think harder, but beyond that, think strategically. What do I mean by that? I cannot tell you. Dozens, maybe 100 companies that I've been in as a strategy consultant, where people have shown me their strategy, and it's really a bunch of tactics. Okay? The amount of people that think that they're actually putting a strategic plan together, and they really don't. It's like a static plan that moves to the next year. They're not really looking outside of their company, not really. They're not thinking about what are their internal resources and capabilities, what are the winning moves, etc. So I'm going to tell you about three companies. A large cap company, they're going to remain unnamed, a growth company, and a startup. And let's look at why they failed in their strategy. So the large company, in fact, at one point was one of the largest companies in the world, maybe the largest at one point. So they called me in, right? And you can imagine when I walked in the door, these people are like, what do we need this guy for? We're all senior executives. We don't need some other guy coming in here telling us about strategy. So you know what? I work like Columbo, okay? I'm like that little guy that knows nothing, right? That guy in the back room that's sort of, one more thing. So I walked in the door, and it's a classic. I do it all the time. This is the large cap. This is full of people with MBAs from the best schools and you name it. But here's what happened. The first part of it was each part of the company, each senior vice president had to get up there and actually present their strategy to this particular product group, which wasn't working. Okay, so that's the first sort of hint. Okay, so here was the initial question that I had, and I use this all the time. You should use it at your office, actually. But be ready, and you'll be probably shocked at what you hear back. It's a walnut suite. It's in the northeast of America. Probably, multiple $1 million worth of salary sitting in here. And this company are the masters at marketing. This company are absolutely at the top level of where you think strategists are. But hey, we all get lazy. We get comfortable. As Tom Peters said many years ago, if you're comfortable, be uncomfortable. But one guy that got me in there, he paid the bill for this consultant coming in the door. This is one day I'm talking about. We went through all the pictures, and I just asked a simple question. Guys, let's go around the room and tell me what the sustainable competitive advantage is. What's the secret sauce on this particular product line? And I got to tell you, it was fantastic. We went round this big, huge table. Maybe there's 15, 20 people there. All brilliant people. Got back to the last guy, the guy who hired me, and he looked up at me, stood up, shook my hand, and said, thanks for coming. We forgot who we are. And they had forgotten who they are. They were the masters of marketing. And that was their sustainable competitive advantage in their company. It was the understanding of positioning, branding, but they'd forgotten that. They started being tactical, not strategic. So that's one. Growth company. I was asked to go into this company, about 10 to $20 million worth of sales, and they basically hit a brick wall. They went meteorically up like this, and here was the problem. Same sort of story again, understanding the secret sauce. What is it? And what I found out was in this meeting, is that they had a single-threaded strategy. Oh, yes. One strategy. And it was all written around a government edict. If the government edict changes, so too does this. This is in healthcare. It was around Medicare payments, reimbursements. All of a sudden it changes. Now you think, right, here's a company, beautiful building, unbelievable office space. Everybody's getting large salaries. However, they had a single-threaded strategy. How could this happen? Nobody's thinking about differentiation, blue ocean, nothing. So then what happened was they came to a horrible halt. And the thing about it was that their actual secret sauce was not secret sauce at all. Basically, they were actually a commodity. They just happened to get lucky, and they were very lucky with this particular reimbursement. If there was any sort of secret sauce, maybe it was the sales reps, maybe. So, but the reality is what I did with those guys, put together an alternate growth strategy. Fantastic. Changed the whole face of where that company went. But in their mind, they had a strategy. They didn't have a strategy. They had a bunch of tactics. A little bit like they were an ice cream store and people kept buying the ice cream. Just keep driving out there. It's a sales approach. Nothing wrong with that if it keeps going. But it wasn't really strategic thinking. It was a hope strategy, which really isn't a strategy at all. Startups. Oh boy, I could mention 100 of these. But for the most part, what happens is, with a lot of startups, is that they think their secret sauce is with the founders. Could be an engineer, could be a doctor, could be a physicist, could be just a brilliant software guy. Now, that strategy may work to get you to, let's just say, cash flow break even. But the reality is that secret sauce, and it may be your patent, may not even be defendable. Classic example, this company that I went into. They couldn't understand why they weren't getting beyond, let's just say, the cash flow break even. Not very well. So I looked at it. I started to ask the questions. How defendable is your patent? The reality is it wasn't defendable at all. So their secret sauce was all of a sudden, oh boy, what are we going to do here? And the reality was I had to really think about their strategy. I helped them with this. So when you're doing this course, think beyond just filling in tables or getting the 5 slides done. It's all about critical analysis. You know, like right now in the marketplace. If you think about internet businesses today compared to before, the old days, you went and raised capital, got your little building, and away you went. All of a sudden, Amazon's dropping drones out there. Uh-oh. Same thing goes for blockchain. You know, if you're a business guy today and you're not looking at blockchain, you don't have to be an expert on it. But imagine a world where you don't need a middleman anymore. Oh, a world where you've got automated contracts. Wait on, where are the law firms going in this? The reality is, think beyond the norm. And this is obviously something that when you start doing global marketing, you obviously have to understand the localization. But most importantly, for this particular one, with strategy in general, it's not tactics, and there's a clear differentiation. I can write a plan with tactics and make it look strategical, but it's not. It's not the same thing. You've really got to drill into these 5 slides. If I was to give you some more advice, start thinking the 5 slides in your brain the whole time, and then start building it from the beginning and where we are today. And I think you're going to have a whole lot of fun with this. But the most interesting thing is go into your office and start thinking, do we have secret sauce? You'd be stunned and surprised at how many people do not. And frankly, the inertia of the market and everything's just going along. But it doesn't last forever. You know, I remember back in the day, back in the early days, I had this thing called a BlackBerry. Oh boy, I think I slept with it. Don't tell anyone, but I think I did. This was just like my love affair. I had to have my BlackBerry back in the day. I had this little thing. I think I had a big phone as well. What happened with BlackBerry? Uh-oh, they took their eye off the ball. General Motors. Okay, so General Motors was an interesting one. Their culture back in the day was a culture of bounded rationality. Google that, but the reality is they basically stopped good ideas from coming up to what they call the 12th floor. So their strategy was, frankly, steady as she goes. It was a long time ago now, but let's just keep shooting out those V8 Suburbans. It's all good. That's not really a long-term strategy. Toyota, apart from the fact that they picked up total quality management, Toyota started to think, what happens if the fuel price changes? So basically, in general, start thinking strategically in the discussion boards. Go back and forth with each other, please, please, please. Nobody take offense at it. You're going to learn stuff from each other. But more importantly, start looking at yourself in closing here. Look at your own unique selling point. What is it? You know, so many, many years ago, I like to talk about the funny accent and all that. That's not really what the selling point of the Paul Markham show is. It's actually something very different. Somehow, I got lucky or cursed with something called a blink personality. So what us people do, there's a herd of us up there. We don't fit onto the normal charts. We don't. Now, we're no more intelligent or less than others, but we see things differently. Is that a big deal? Well, if you point that at the right career and the right path, absolutely. I can see things a little differently. I see things ahead of the curve. Now, on the details up the curve, that's somebody else's job, but I can see what's going to happen with certain things. So find out what your unique selling point is, and then start to think about where that's going to work well in what sort of company. And then frankly, you're just going to have so much fun. But always take strategy to the table, because it's going to get you in your walnut sweets. It just is. The idea that we can ramp up sales by 10%, everybody loves that. But imagine if, hey, CEO, if we buy that company there, we're actually going to change our market position. And then because we're doing that, this is going to happen. Do you see what I mean? Stop playing checkers. Start playing chess. Thank you.